Hi, this is J. Muller here to bring some reflections at the moment on the current themes that I have been following and seeing. And this is really actually just a continuation from my previous video, in which I spoke about cancel culture. You can check that video out if you want to as well. And really just obviously, if we want to, how can we step away from falling into the traps of this cancel culture dynamic? And not just that, but yeah, and also to stop creating the division within our own lives. And obviously, that's something that we must all want and have to strive to do on our own individually. If that is something that we're, first of all, conscious and aware of, then we can take those steps towards that and towards achieving that. But obviously, it's not something that we can force on anyone or try and make other people come to realize. It's just an individual journey that we come to recognize. And so, in this video, I really wanted to just speak about yes, the different levels and layers. So, in the last video, I kind of spoke about how we all have so many different opinions and perspectives, and that what happens is, we can be in one room and then not realizing that there are thousands of other rooms available, and there's like a whole corridor, and there's a whole house, and it's infinite, and there are so many different rooms. So the question is really, what room are we living in? And so, yeah, this concept, because what I feel like is happening now, obviously we all know there's a great awakening taking place. And since 2020, things have catapulted so much. I've learned so much these past couple of years, 3 years now. And I'm sure so many other people will have had similar experiences. And I feel like it's just heightening now. It's getting tighter and tighter. And the events that occur now are here to trigger our awakening more and more and more and more. And obviously, some people might not necessarily see it that way. And also, I feel like that's part of the journey until it really happens in a really deep and profound way. We won't necessarily recognize it for what it is. Then eventually we will get there and it'll be like, oh, okay. But basically, I feel like there's a whole load of different events that take place. And a lot of the time, these events, they can be very divisive. Yeah, they can be very, lots of controversy surrounding it and all these things, of course. But at the same time, underneath all of it, there is an opportunity for all of us to just go deeper within and really figure out what is being called of us right now in this moment and what is being revealed as well in this moment. And there are so many different events that happen like this. And since 2020, I feel like there have been so many. And there's been so many opportunities for us to really see what's real and what's true and what's happening in the world. And this is huge. Like, this is absolutely huge because things are not as they seem. And as one dives deeper into seeing what's taking place, one begins to realize that actually things are quite dark. And that's just the way it is. But the darkness, again, is nothing to be afraid of. It's not anything to fear. I mean, the way society is set up at the moment is that we should fear the powers of being. Fear is the ultimate emotion that is controlling this whole system. So when you start to really see it for what it is, you know, part of the journey is to step out into sovereignty and into power and away from that fear. And yeah, it really is nothing to be afraid of. I definitely 100% feel that deeply. And basically, there is a cognizance and understanding to really, really embody. And I feel like this is all of our tasks right now. And it's up to each individual to allow themselves the capacity to hold this vibration and this comprehension within themselves. And it takes depths to be traveling into and levels to be integrated, shadow work to be healed and to be seen, and the darkness to be experienced and to be felt in order for us to basically come back into this place of unity, into this place of grounding and neutrality, and just to really see the bigger picture. That's actually literally what it is, to be able to see the bigger picture. And so, yeah, basically, just literally see the bigger picture. That's like huge. And there are just different layers and levels and nuances when it comes to this. So when something big happens in the world, and I feel like right now I'm being reminded of the whole BLM movement that took place. And I'm not talking about the specific group of people that created that thing. I'm just talking about the way that rippled out into society and how everyone started realizing what was going on. All of a sudden, this big elephant in the room was something that we can talk about now. I personally feel like it's a lot easier to talk about racism these days than it was before that moment in 2020, which is really crazy. And yeah, obviously it was because of what happened with George Floyd, as you know, which yeah, obviously tragic incident, and then but it just triggered this deep purge of darkness coming to the surface to really see how we've been living in ignorance, literally. And it's all of us, you know, in so many different ways. And that's the other thing to understand. Obviously, yes, some people, you know, can say to themselves, you know, well, I'm not racist, but in different ways, you know. I'm not talking about that one specific topic right now. I just mean in general, you know. And even for me, that was a huge, deep, like, wow, okay, acknowledgement, even though things that I knew damn subtly came to the surface and allowed me to really just blast through the barriers and all sorts of things and just stand up and speak. And so what's happening now, I feel like, is another one of those moments. And for me, everything is an opportunity. There's always an opportunity within every trial and tribulation and within adversity. There are always opportunities. It's just, can you see them? And so right now what's happened, obviously, the Queen has died, and there are just levels when it comes to this. And I feel like it's very similar to the BLM situation. And obviously it's so similar just because the people who might be feeling very nonchalant or not any certain particular way about it are basically the people where this country, Great Britain, has gone and pillaged and stolen and all sorts of freaking crazy things, right? So, you know, in a way, it's completely understandable, that reaction. So I just wanted to explain a little bit basically about the way that I see it. And this is just a template that can be used with any of these situations, because BLM, again, I feel like that was another opportunity for all of us to see what's really going on in the world. And so when we come back to this, the royal family, I feel like that's a whole other level of integrating what's really going on in the world. Because I know a lot of people have been experiencing now that things are really not as they seem, and there are definitely people, specific people with a lot of power and a lot of money who are pulling the strings. That's just one big, huge, fat, obvious thing that's come since 2020. And so the royal family, you know, there's just so much limelight on them all the time, I swear. They've got such a big reputation in the world. You know, people come in here for tourism all the time. Like, the country is such a big thing. So, what about the royal family? Firstly, yeah, I just want to describe the levels. So, there are basically people who are sad about it and mourning the loss of their queen. There are people who are angry about it and maybe possibly are happy that she's not alive. And then there are people who are indifferent, not really that interested, and not really that bothered. And then there are people as well who basically the next level would be to see the bigger picture and to understand this play that's taking place right now of good versus bad, dark versus light. And this is the way that I see it. And, I can't tell you this is the truth, really, ultimately, because you have to seek that for yourself and you have to feel within yourself to know whether it's real or if it isn't. But this is the way that I see it, basically. So the people who are sad, like, honestly, anyone can feel whatever they need to feel. Obviously, I don't think anyone should be telling other people what to say and what they should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing. That's not how I operate anyway. Doesn't really make sense. I like to question people and to offer insights to make them see things a bit differently sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's up to them whether they want to receive it and explore it or not either. So the way I see it is that the people who are sad and mournful, yeah, again, everyone has their right to their expression and their feelings. It's all good. However, these people aren't looking deeper below the surface and they aren't aware of the ugliness that exists behind the royal family. Now, this isn't anything to say anything bad about anyone necessarily, that's not really it. And it's not just the royal family, it's this whole system that has been set up like this. And maybe they're seeing a little bit of it, but not all of it. And there's a level of integration as well to take place in order for those people to see it and to really put themselves in the shoes of other people. Because if you are walking around saying, I don't understand, then the solution to that really is to understand. I don't understand why, people would be so disrespectful. So sometimes these people might be saying, that the other people in the group where they are indifferent and they're not really feeling anything, or they're saying nasty things about her, right? They might be thinking, well, that's so disrespectful. How dare you, right? And it's so interesting. Like, let's just look at this from a bird's eye view of what's going on, right? Literally, this British Empire has gone around for freaking years, colonized countries, taken things, still abused, like fought, killed. Honestly, so many wrong and dark and ugly things. So when you look at it like that, really objectively, it's very easy to see why people from those countries might be very happy and angry and annoyed and maybe even a bit confused about what's going on and their emotions and how they feel about what's going on. It makes a lot of sense, actually. So, yes. So there's a level, if you don't understand, what I would definitely say is inquire to understand. Inquire to understand. So, and there's levels to it, and I'm not really going to go into details here about the 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 other things that I can talk about this monarch and this royal family and all of that stuff, because there are different things and one really has to experience it for themselves. And so there's this group of people, right? And everyone is entitled to be where they are. This is one thing I said in the previous video. But at the same time, we can all help each other to, inquire a bit more deeper and support each other more, understand each other more, communicate with each other more, and have real conversations. So yeah, there's the one group. And honestly, what I will say is that if you are, you know, feeling sad, and this is just the levels of what's going on right now. This is not me saying it in a derogatory way or anything like that. This is just me saying in a very objective way. But if you are sad about her passing and you can't see the other perspective at the same time, you don't understand why people might be being rude and disrespectful. That is quite literally because you haven't yet seen the big fat ugly truth. Literally. And that is definitely a very physical, very 3D, let's say, perspective to have. Oh, but it's so rude, how dare you? Da, 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 da. Fine, yes, you're welcome to your opinion, you're welcome to feel like that, of course. But there are levels to this. And once you see the levels, you will not question why people are feeling the way that they are feeling and disrespecting the way they are. So that's just one part of it. The next part of it are the people who are, okay, indifferent. Some people might just be not feeling much about it. Cool. Oh, good. Don't blame any any experience right now. You know, that's a completely natural reaction. Fine. And then there are also people who are angry. And these are the people that I feel like we see quite a lot online in the digital sphere. And again, don't blame them either. Like this is not me to pass judgment onto any of these different kind of perspectives at all, but just to bring awareness to them. And so these people have, rightfully have got a lot of anger for the distraction and even the silent nature and the fact that, the queen, she could have done so much, she could have changed so much, she could have, but obviously she wasn't going to because she's part of the royal family, and that's like part of the whole matrix system that we're here in. So she ain't no Princess Diana, like, let's be honest. So, so there's that, right? And so, yeah, so the anger is completely, you can completely understand when you really, really go deep and you go into the darkness and you see the levels. It makes sense. And also, again, if you just zoom out and just really look at the system that we're living in right now, the inequality, and it's so obvious now, even the fact that like people are gonna really suffer in this country now in the winter, and then they're spending so much money on her funeral and all this stuff. This again, this is the opportunity. Can you see it? Can you see the freaking levels? Can you see the inequality, like the stupidity, the after stupidity, how we are literally down here, they are literally up here. Question, really, do you call that royalty? Does that feel like royalty to you? Like true royalty? This is what I've spoken about on my personal Instagram, but royalty doesn't that's not true royalty. True royalty is connection with the divine, connection with source, and service to others, and actually being here for equality, actually wanting to make a change, actually wanting to do good. And so many people don't recognize that, you know that the system is like this for a reason, and that these people who have so much money and so much power, like the queen, they can actually make a change. Oh no, but she did so much good. Yeah, but she could, like, do you not see the whole corruption of the system? Like it's messed up since the day we were born. And again, like it's set up like that. So this is why it's so futile having these conversations on that 3D level, but oh yeah, but this and no, but that, but just literally dive deeper and do some research. Independent research is always what's up right now. They censor everything. We know what's going on. It's difficult to even have a different mentality to the herd. But anyway, so anger, people who are angry, it makes complete sense. Like, honestly, It's mad. It's like somebody came, lots of different people came and just pillaged these countries and these villages and these people and their culture and their humanity, wiped it away, placed their own framework on it, and now we're not allowed to have an opinion about that. You know, that doesn't really make sense. It's gaslighting. That's what that's called. And you know, I might not have experienced it firsthand, but or whoever's talking might not have experienced that firsthand, but it's running in the family, it's in their country, it's in their culture, you know, and it affects people freaking deeply. And this is the trauma that we're healing. This colonization, it runs deep. Anyway, so it makes sense with why people are angry. So then there's that group. But the point is as well here is to understand the bigger picture. Because anger is all good. It's healthy to express the anger. At the same time, it's not healthy to stay there. Anger can cause long-term illness, problems, stress, all sorts of things. We know this. So it's so important for us, for our health, for our internal peace, that we move past that point. And this is where I think we are right now on the levels of integration in our society. How do we move past that point? Because when you have seen that big, fat, ugly truth, it's deep and it's dark. And how do you expect me to now just try and have understanding for these people that feels like they're completely opposite? It feels like they're not even human. And this is where the trick lies, because maybe they're not. However, they are still part of Source. Source is the one creator. Yeah. God. And I'm not talking about the biblical male figure. La, la, la. No. Source. So everything is a part of Source and nothing cannot be. Sometimes we feel like it is disconnected, and then we create that disconnect within ourselves. So this is what we're healing right now. This is the healing. And this is our tasks. This is the task for us to integrate so that we can start to create this new earth and this new world that we're moving towards, that so many of us know that we're moving towards. And a lot of that is emotional integration, shadow work, trauma healing, and that's what's taking place right now. And you can't skip these levels. You cannot skip these levels. So first of all, if you are sad and mourning and you don't see anything else, you don't understand why other people are angry, or you don't actually know what the ugly truth is, go look, dive deep. Don't look in the mainstream media, because that's not where you're gonna find any answers. But ask yourself, ask God, and it will come to you. Secondly, if you're angry, this is the thing: people who don't know it, when they find out, they are most likely to go to the angry space. Go to the angry phase. But at the same time, sometimes you can skip it, but it's important not to stay there. So then the next phase is the integration and the wider picture. So how do you integrate? And now this is the part where we start to see that this battle of dark versus light has been going on here for freaking eons. And obviously right now it's culminating. We're going through the ascension. So everything is it's speeding up. It's energies are coming in. Everything's getting to the critical climax point, right? And so yeah, this battle has been going on for so long. And so when we can see that, then we can start to see that, yeah, basically we need the darkness. The darkness makes us see ourselves in the reflection, to see who we are. At the end of the day, yeah, there is darkness here. There's darkness in me. There's darkness in you. There's darkness in all of us. So the levels that you can go down to see the darkness of the world are also the levels that you can go and do your own shadow healing, shadow body healing, you know? And so it's not to blame and to shame and to point fingers, but no, you know, it's just to recognize, to acknowledge, to see it here within ourselves and to see it there. And then to be able to say, hey, listen, you know, I see you. And this is also a reflection, macro versus micro, because the powers that be are the macro, and the abuse that is taking place right now is next freaking level gaslighting, and all the censorship. It's proper abuse. And so when you take it onto personal kind of relationships way, I know a lot of people who see what's going on have been in abusive manipulative relationships, including me. And I went through a whole process of that where I really had to forgive my ex because of what we'd been through. And again, we're moving past this point of blaming. And when we're angry, we're blaming the other person and playing the victim. So how do we move outside of victimhood and actually truly begin to claim our power and our responsibility is where it comes, accountability and royalty. So because we are the true royals ultimately. And so, yeah, coming back into understanding the good and the bad, it's all one, it's all part of this transformation. And the ascension is this is the great awakening that's taking place right now. And we need the darkness to kick us up the butt and to make us realize, to go through this adversity and to say, fudge, that just happened, yo. And from my own experience, I went through that abusive relationship, and afterwards it triggered my awakening. That was the beginning of my journey almost 9 years ago now. And the way I look back on it now is that I'm just grateful, like truly, deeply grateful that I had that experience and was able to, because ultimately, if I had known better, I wouldn't have put myself in that position. There's no way I would have accepted. I mean, I was feisty and I was argumentative. I wasn't taking any crap. I wasn't just sitting there going, oh, yeah, yeah, playing the victim. I was like, don't talk to me. So it was like a intense relationship. But look, afterwards, I managed to find the way to forgive myself, to forgive him, to forgive myself for putting myself through it, and then just be so grateful for that experience in my life and what it taught me and what it showed me about myself. And ultimately, this is what happens, the macro versus the micro. The micro, it takes place in the relationships. If we can integrate like that on the micro, we can integrate like that on the macro. And the relationship, I've always been one to deeply self-reflect. So whatever's happening out there is a reflection of my internal landscape. We are never really the victims because we are putting ourselves in those positions in the first place. So when we look at it from the macro and the levels of the darkness that's taking place at the end of the day, these beings got so distracted, so far away from source that they thought and they think that they're disconnected. And the only thing that's going to bring them back into the connection is love, and I truly believe that. They're so far away and so horrible and so everything is true. Like, yes, that's completely valid. That's part of the view. That's part of the story. It's not everything. And then on another level, we can see, oh, wow, they're actually helping me. They're actually helping me go through my awakening. They're actually helping me to see what's happening. They're helping me to see the ugliness, to see the truth, to see the abuse and the manipulation and the pain they're causing so many thousands of people. I can see it now. Wow. These incidents are taking place. They're triggering these awakenings within all of us. And just like, wow. Wow, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have seen it, If that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have been able to see it within myself. So they're helping us to go through this ascension so that we can go higher, reach higher states of consciousness, awareness, levels, see the bigger picture, and so that basically we can go to a more unified world. We can create this new earth so that we can come from a place of love, and now these things that I'm talking about It's the embodiment. So we can basically let go of the anger, see the picture for what it is, understand that these people got so lost. And yeah, if you can extend your compassion to these beings who are not, who think that they're not part of source, they don't see their own light, they feel like they need to take just to survive, and because they don't realize that they can also come back into the light, you know. This is the levels that we're dealing with right now. So how can we integrate that on such a level when, if someone has caused you so much pain and so much trauma, that relationship that I went through, it was deep. I've been healing from that ever since, you know? So how can we come to that point of being able to just imagine, look at that person or whoever that is in the eye and just say, I forgive you. It's okay. You know, and hold love within our hearts for them as well. But still, at the same time, it doesn't mean we need to be sad and mourning. You know, again, every person's feeling is valid. Yeah, always, always. This is just the way that I see it, and this last option stage that I'm talking about is so vital, and I feel like this is the opportunity for all of us right now. This is where we are moving to, and in order for us to create this unity and this unified world and this new earth that is full of good vibrations like peace and love and understanding and compassion, we have to embody those ourselves. We cannot skip that point. So we need to start embodying that now for this darkness and for this evil that we see in the world. This darkness and this evil that has run the world for so freaking long, that is taking. We don't need to fight them. There's no fighting. It's not about fighting. You know, the fight is our inner revolution. The fight is this inner heart that is expanding and it's expanding and it's encompassing all, every single one. So yeah, that's my video on the different phases. And again, this can be applied to so many different things. It's up to you where you are, where you reflect on where you are, how you choose to progress through it all, and how you choose to integrate emotionally, trauma, heal, release, all of this stuff. This work is so important for every single one of us to do. And this is why I developed this online course, Awakening 101. If you are interested, you can check it on the website and listen. Again, I'm not here to take loads of money from people. That's not the point. I'm simply here to provide a resource for this journey because I've been through it. I've been through going through a lot of it, and I'm still going through it. And it's a lot. It's freaking a lot. And it ain't for the faint of heart, and it's a lot. So that's why I created it, because I know that I could have done with so much support on this journey, and that's it really. So yeah, man, don't take things so seriously. Live it lightheartedly. Look at things, do the work, take that process and that journey seriously, but be playful. Just felt like adding that to the end there because it can feel really heavy sometimes, and like what is on our shoulders, and and the darkness is just like and it's very jarring, and it can be very intense. But you know what? Sometimes you get to a point where you realize this is all a game, and I'm gonna level up. So how am I gonna level up? As we know, it's the world of illusion and Maya, and we're going into the real world now. So let's embody it. Let's be it. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. That statement couldn't be more potent than ever now. Thank you. Have an amazing day.